Aye, warriors, there's a storm inside every one of us, not made of thunder or rain, but of thoughts, fears, doubts, an endless noise that never seems to fade. Every morning we wake up and step into a battlefield no one else can see. The enemy isn't out there in the world, it's right here, within our own mind. It wears many faces: regret from the past, anxiety about the future, and the chaos of the present moment that tries to pull us apart piece by piece. We scroll through endless feeds, chasing validation and comparing our lives to illusions crafted by others. The world keeps shouting at us to be everything: successful, perfect, unbreakable. And when we inevitably fall short, it whispers that we are not enough. But here's the truth: peace was never meant to be found in controlling the world. It begins the moment you learn to master yourself. When everything around you feels out of control, Stoicism calls you home, back to the one place that truly belongs to you, your own mind. This is not some ancient relic of philosophy buried in the ruins of Rome. It's a living, breathing way of life, a shield against chaos, a compass in confusion, and a steady calm within the storm. Stoicism teaches that we cannot choose what happens to us, but we can always choose how we respond. And in that choice lies our freedom, our strength, our peace. So before we dive into the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, pause for a moment. Feel the invisible weight you carry every single day, the expectations, the failures, the fears that cling to you like chains. Now, imagine laying them down. Imagine standing still in the middle of the storm, calm, steady, and unshaken, no matter what the world throws your way, because this is where your Stoic journey begins. Not with the conquest of the world, but with the quiet, relentless mastery of yourself. When life starts to feel unbearable, our first instinct is to look outward for answers. We blame people, circumstances, fate, or luck, anything that moves beyond our reach. We tell ourselves that if only the world would change, we would finally find peace. But the Stoics, thousands of years ago, discovered something profound and eternal. The world will never bend to your will, but your mind can bend to face the world. That is where real power begins. Every single day, life throws its tests at you. A rude comment that stings, a plan that fails, a dream that shatters, a loss that leaves you hollow. And your instinct is to resist, to fight, to shout into the void, "Why me?" But Stoicism whispers a different question, one that holds the key to your peace. What is within my control right now? That one question separates the restless from the calm, the defeated from the strong, the ordinary from the stoic. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Think about that for a moment. If someone insults you, you can't control their words. If a storm destroys your plans, you can't control the weather. If fate takes something precious from you, you can't control its cruelty. But you can always control your response. And that is where freedom truly begins, not in changing what happens, but in mastering how you respond to it. The world can shake your body, it can take what you own, it can even test your spirit, but it can never touch your mind unless you hand it over willingly. Epictetus, once a slave, taught this truth not from comfort but from suffering. He said, "There's only one way to happiness, so stop worrying about things beyond your control." He wasn't a philosopher in a palace. He was a man who had everything stripped away except his will, yet he remained unbroken. Because when all else is taken, your inner discipline is the one thing no one can steal. That's the essence of Stoicism. You don't need a perfect life to live peacefully. You only need clarity, the wisdom to know what belongs to you, and the courage to let go of what doesn't. Your thoughts, your actions, your decisions, your attitude, those are yours. Everything else is just the wind. You can't order it, command it, or stop it. But you can adjust your sails. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And how true that is. Most of our pain doesn't come from what actually happens, but from how we think about what happens. We create storms in our mind that never existed. We suffer twice, once in life and once in thought. The Stoics trained daily to see clearly, to separate what is within their power from what is not. If you can change something, do so with courage and reason. If you cannot, accept it with dignity and grace. That's not surrender, that's strength in its purest form. Acceptance isn't giving up. It's seeing things as they are, not as you wish they were. It's the calm voice inside that says, "This moment is mine, and I will meet it with reason, not rage." Because when you stop fighting what you cannot change, you free your energy to master what you can. That's when life begins to feel lighter, not because the world has become easier, but because you have become stronger. So the next time something goes wrong, pause, breathe deeply, ask yourself, is this within my control? If yes, act with discipline and focus. If not, release it completely. That simple practice can transform a lifetime of suffering into a lifetime of peace. It's not a miracle, it's mastery. The first step on the Stoic path to stop trying to control the world and start learning to master yourself. Pain, a word that most of us spend our lives trying to escape. Yet it's the very force that shapes every soul that has ever grown stronger. We hide from it, deny it, numb it with distractions and noise. But the Stoics, they chose a different path. They didn't run from pain. They walked straight into it, stared it in the eye, and turned it into power. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." To the Stoic mind, pain was never a punishment. It was a path, a sacred test through which the human spirit discovers its strength. Every hardship, every loss, every scar was seen not as a curse, but as a teacher in disguise, guiding the soul toward wisdom. Think back to the hardest moments of your life, the heartbreaks, the failures, the rejections, the nights you felt completely alone. You might not have realized it then, but those very moments were sculpting something inside you. Patience, endurance, understanding. Pain, like fire, doesn't destroy the strong, it refines them. Just as fire purifies gold, suffering purifies the soul. Seneca said, "Fire tests gold, adversity tests brave men." If life were always gentle and easy, we would remain soft, fragile, untested, unready for the real storms ahead. But it's through struggle that our true form is forged. The Stoics never prayed for an easy life. They prayed for the strength to endure a difficult one, because they knew without pain you never meet your true self. When everything around you begins to fall apart, the untrained mind cries, "Why me?" But the Stoic mind responds, "Why not me? Why shouldn't I be the one to rise above this, to face this trial, and emerge wiser, calmer, stronger than before?" That's not arrogance, that's courage. It's the understanding that pain is not meant to break you, but to awaken you. Epictetus, once a slave, beaten and insulted, lived this truth daily. Yet even in chains, he said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." His body was imprisoned, but his soul remained untouchable. That's the essence of Stoic strength. Freedom from within. When life takes everything external away, your inner fortress still stands if your will remains unshaken. Pain, then, is not your enemy. It's a truth teller. It reveals what you truly care about, what you fear, what you've been avoiding. And when you stop running from it, when you face it directly, something magical happens. It loses its power to control you. You begin to see it not as an obstacle, but as a mirror reflecting the lessons you most need to learn. The Stoics even trained for this moment. They practiced premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of misfortune. They imagined losing everything: health, wealth, reputation, loved ones, not to live in fear, but to live prepared, so that when life did strike, they didn't shatter. They bowed, accepted, and stood again. Their calm wasn't ignorance of suffering, it was mastery of it. Every time you go through pain and come out on the other side, your strength expands. What once terrified you becomes familiar. What once broke you becomes your foundation. You begin to understand that suffering isn't something to flee, it's something to use. So, when pain visits, don't curse it. Study it. Ask, what is this trying to teach me? Maybe patience, maybe humility, maybe courage. Every lesson worth learning is hidden inside discomfort, because a blade doesn't become sharper by avoiding friction, and a soul doesn't become wise by avoiding suffering. The Stoic doesn't run from pain, he transforms it. He learns, adapts, and grows through it. Pain, to him, is not a wall blocking the path. It is the path itself. And on the other side of that doorway lies strength, serenity, and the kind of peace that can't be shaken by the world. There will always be storms, some that rage outside in the world and others that rage within the mind. You can't stop the winds from blowing, You can't command the sky to clear, but you can learn something far greater: how to stand still within the storm. That's emotional discipline, the beating heart of Stoicism, the art of responding, not reacting. Most people live like waves, tossed around by the ocean. Every insult, every setback, every opinion from others stirs them violently. They rise with praise and fall with criticism. Their peace depends on what others do, say, or think. But the Stoic stands like a mountain, silent, grounded, unmoved, unshaken. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." That's the secret of emotional mastery, knowing that no event, no person, no word can disturb your peace unless you allow it to. The power has always been in your hands, but let's be honest, calm isn't easy. It's not about pretending you don't feel anger, sadness, or fear. It's about feeling them fully, acknowledging them completely, and still choosing reason over reaction. That's the Stoic way, not cold detachment, but conscious control. When someone insults you, you can hit back, or you can rise above. When you're wronged, you can cling to the grudge, or you can let it go. When chaos breaks out, you can panic, or you can breathe. Every moment offers a choice, reaction, or response. And the Stoic, every time, chooses the second. Not because he feels nothing, but because he refuses to be ruled by what he feels. Seneca once said, "He who angers you conquers you." Every time you react in rage, you hand your power to someone else. You become their puppet, their mirror. But when you pause, when you let that first impulse pass, you take that power back. You return to yourself. You become the master once again. This is the art of emotional discipline. It isn't suppression, it's transformation. You don't deny your emotions. You understand them. You let them rise. You let them pass, but you don't drown in their tide. You remain the calm beneath the surface, no matter how rough the waves above become. Imagine standing in the center of a violent storm, rain pouring, winds howling, yet inside, there's stillness. That's what Stoicism trains you for. To be calm, not when life is peaceful, but when life is falling apart. Because anyone can stay composed in silence. True serenity is tested only in noise. So when the world tries to provoke you, when people push your buttons, when situations spiral out of control, remember this: you may not choose what happens, but you can always choose who you will be in that moment. That's the difference between reacting and responding. Reaction is instinct, quick, blind, emotional. Response is awareness, deliberate, steady, powerful. And every time you choose to respond with calm instead of chaos, you build something unshakable within you. You reinforce your peace. You strengthen your inner fortress. You become untouchable. The Stoic doesn't seek control over others. He seeks control over himself, because the one who can remain calm in the storm has already won the battle most never even see. When the world feels unbearably heavy, when pain, loss, and chaos press down on your chest, the mind begins to whisper, "What's the point?" And that's the moment when purpose steps in, because without purpose, even the smallest struggle feels impossible to bear. But with purpose, even the greatest suffering becomes endurable, even meaningful. The Stoics understood this truth better than anyone. They knew that a human being can face almost anything, as long as there is a why behind it. Epictetus once said, "Circumstances don't make the man, they only reveal him to himself." In adversity, we don't lose who we are. We discover who we've always been. Every hardship strips away illusion and exposes what we truly value, what we truly fear, and what we truly stand for. Purpose gives direction to that chaos. It transforms suffering into strength, obstacles into lessons, and life's randomness into meaning. Without it, life feels like drifting through a storm without a compass. But with it, even the fiercest winds begin to serve your journey. Look at Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, surrounded by betrayal, war, disease, and death. The weight of an empire rested on his shoulders. He could have surrendered to despair, drowned in the magnitude of it all. But instead, he chose duty. He saw his purpose clearly: to lead with wisdom, to serve with virtue, to act justly, no matter how dark the world became. That sense of purpose gave him the strength to keep moving forward when everything else was falling apart. And then there was Seneca, exiled, accused, living under constant threat of death. Yet his writings glowed with calm conviction. "Difficulties strengthen the mind," he said, "as labor does the body." Seneca didn't seek comfort. He sought clarity. He knew that a man who lives with purpose cannot be broken by circumstance. Because while fate may shape the world around him, purpose shapes the world within him. Purpose transforms pain. It doesn't erase it. it elevates it. When you know why you are suffering, the struggle itself becomes sacred. The sleepless nights, the heartbreaks, the failures, they stop feeling like punishment and start feeling like preparation. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is this trying to shape within me? Purpose isn't born in comfort, it's forged in the heat of challenge. In the moments when you want to quit, but don't. It's found when you stop chasing pleasure and start pursuing meaning. It's what turns endurance into strength and hardship into growth. And here's the truth the Stoics lived by. Life will never be easy, but it will always be worth it if you know why you walk the path you're on. So ask yourself, what's your purpose? Not what the world expects of you, not what earns applause or praise, but what ignites that quiet fire deep in your soul. The reason that makes every hardship bearable. Because when your purpose is clear, pain becomes fuel, discomfort becomes discipline, and every obstacle becomes proof of your resilience. The Stoic doesn't live for comfort, he lives for meaning. He doesn't pray for an easy life, he prays for the courage to live a worthy one. So when life tests you, don't run from it. Use it. Let every challenge remind you of your purpose. And let that purpose carry you through every storm, unbroken and unafraid. Thousands of years have passed since the words of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus echoed through marble halls and faded scrolls. Yet their wisdom feels more alive today than ever, maybe even more necessary. Because while the world around us has changed beyond recognition, the human mind has not. We may no longer face lions or emperors, but the battles remain. Only now they wear different faces. We fight distractions instead of swords, comparison instead of conquest, and anxiety instead of arrows. The arena has shifted, but the struggle is still the same. A battle for focus, for peace, and for purpose. So what does it mean to live like a Stoic today? It begins with focus. In a world built to steal your attention, focus is your greatest act of resistance, your most valuable currency. The Stoic doesn't waste it on gossip, arguments, or things that lie beyond control. He guards it fiercely, choosing where his mind will live. Each day he asks, is this within my power? Does this deserve my energy? And if the answer is no, he lets it go, quietly, completely, without bitterness. Because peace begins where unnecessary attention ends. Next comes gratitude. Stoicism isn't cold or detached. It's deeply grateful. Grateful for what is, not resentful for what's missing. Marcus Aurelius began each morning preparing to meet difficult people, yet he was thankful for the chance to respond with patience and reason. Gratitude is the foundation of perspective. It turns obstacles into opportunities and ordinary moments into moments of grace. When you live with gratitude, even the smallest things begin to feel profound. Then there's resilience. The Stoic doesn't avoid discomfort. He embraces it as training. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to practice strength. Every delay becomes a test of patience. Every failure becomes a lesson in humility. The Stoic doesn't ask for fewer problems. He asks for a stronger mind, because resilience isn't built in comfort, it's built in resistance. Living like a Stoic today isn't about quoting philosophy or pretending to be emotionless. It's about the small, quiet decisions you make every single day. Waking up with purpose, responding with calm instead of anger, focusing on what matters, accepting what doesn't. It's choosing not to be ruled by envy, fear, frustration, but by reason, courage, and virtue. And the beauty of Stoicism is that it never demands perfection. It asks only for progress. To be a little wiser, a little calmer, a little stronger than you were yesterday. Because every moment, every inconvenience, every challenge is a chance to practice. When someone cuts you off in traffic, that's a test. When your plans fall apart, that's a lesson. When life feels out of control, that's your arena. The perfect moment to practice control from within. Stoicism is not a philosophy for monks or scholars hidden away from the world. It's for you, here, now, in the middle of your work, your struggles, your dreams. It's not about escaping life, but engaging with it more deeply, more consciously. So live like a Stoic. Be present, be grounded, be grateful. And when the chaos of the world comes pounding at your door, remember, you cannot command the storm, but you can always command yourself. That's what it means to live like a Stoic today. To walk through life not untouched by the world, but unbroken by it. In the end, everything can be taken from you. Your wealth, your status, your comfort, even the people you love. Life can strip away every possession, every illusion of control. But there is one thing the world can never touch: your mind. That is where true freedom lives, not in the absence of pain, not in power over others, but in mastery over yourself. The Stoics understood this, that the greatest empire a man can ever rule is the empire of his own thoughts. When your mind is calm, no storm can break you. When your purpose is clear, no obstacle can stop you. When your heart is disciplined, no emotion can enslave you. Freedom isn't something you find out there in the noise of the world. It's something you awaken in here, in the stillness behind your thoughts, in the quiet strength that refuses to be moved by chaos. True freedom is the ability to remain steady when the world trembles, to choose virtue over impulse, to find peace not because life is easy, but because you've learned to meet it with grace. Marcus Aurelius ruled the greatest empire on earth, yet his truest kingdom was the one within himself. Epictetus lived as a slave, his body bound by chains, yet his spirit was untouchable. Seneca faced death with calm acceptance, because long before his final breath, he had already freed his mind from fear. That's what Stoicism teaches us, that no matter who you are or where you stand, rich or poor, praised or forgotten, you are free the very moment you master your own mind. No government, no fate, no circumstance can take that from you. So as you walk away from this journey, remember, the world will always be loud, but you can choose silence. The world will always be chaotic, but you can choose calm. The world will always test you, but you can always choose strength, because freedom isn't found in escaping life. It's found in facing it fully, courageously, and with clarity. The Stoic mind isn't cold, it's alive. It doesn't reject emotions, it refines it, doesn't escape the world. It engages with it deeply, consciously, and without fear. And when you finally realize that the only thing you ever needed to control was yourself, the noise fades, the storm settles, and what remains is peace. In that moment, you become untouchable. In that moment, you become free